Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Almost Together, the space where grace meets growth, and the podcast where we believe growth isn't always pretty, but it's always purposeful. I'm your host, Kandice Lewis Wilson, and today we're talking about something a lot of us struggle with, especially when we've prayed, planned, and positioned ourselves. What happened when God says no? Not wait, not maybe later, but no, full stop. No to the job, no to the relationship, and no to the dream that felt so aligned with your purpose. What do we do when that door we prayed for doesn't open? And worse, we felt like we were qualified, we were faithful, and we were ready.
Zane 98.
Before we dive into today's message, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to every first time listener and every returning friend of the podcast. It means the world that you're tuning in, growing with me, and sharing this journey. Now, listen, I have to say this up front. I'm not coming for anybody in particular, okay? A lot of my friends and new friends have been hitting me up like, why you coming for my neck? And I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to myself. This word check me first. I know it's tight, but it's right. So if it steps on your toes, just know it stepped on mine too. And it stepped on mine first. So let's dig into the word before we dig into the womb, right? Psalms 37:23 says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. And Proverbs 16:9 says, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Here's what that tells me. We can have vision, discipline, and preparation, and God still will redirect us. Sometimes his no is his mercy. Sometimes it's his protection, but often it just feels like rejection. And so, have you ever experienced a closed door that made you question your worth, that made you question your relationships, and question whether you heard from God? Let me tell you about a story that it still stings a little bit, but hey, it also reminds me how faithful God is, even in my disappointment. So I worked at this organization for 4.5 years. I mean, I poured into this place time, ideas, sweat, care. I was consistent. I went above and beyond. And so when a C-suite position opened up, I didn't just feel like I was ready. I felt like I was called. I was invited to apply. I interviewed. I prepared. I practiced. I did all the things. I got a coach to help and everything. I prayed. And honestly, I believed I was the best candidate. But apparently only I believed it, right? Because I didn't get it. And, the response that I got of why I didn't get it was they felt like promoting me would be setting me up after I did all this work, right? And I can't lie, it felt like betrayal. I had supported people, carried extra weight, and now I was being told no by people, I thought I trusted. And that no hit hard. I was hurt, confused, and yes, I was depressed. I questioned myself. I questioned my relationship with others. Was I too confident? Did I miss God? But even in that season of disappointment, here's what I did do. I showed up anyway. I kept doing my job and the jobs of others. I made sure my team was supported. I smiled, I spoke, I served, even when it hurt. Because deep down, I knew I had two options. I could crash out, and I could crash out good. Or I could trust that even this was a part of the plan. And now, it took a minute, but now I see it. That season ended up being a time that I needed to plan my wedding, prepare myself for marriage. And then just after that, my father went through some significant health challenges. And y'all know I'm a daddy's girl. So had I been in that leadership position, I wouldn't have had the capacity emotionally, physically, or spiritually to endure. And then, out of nowhere, there was a ram in the bush. All right. A door, a whole floor opened up. And now I've been working at one of the most exciting jobs of my career. I've been able to travel internationally. I've worked with some amazing people, and I've worked on things I've never dreamed I could touch. But that yes only came after a very necessary and a very hard no. So here's what I want you to hear. God's no is not the end. It's a turning point. And we can grieve the no and still trust the why, even when it doesn't show up for a while. Romans 8:28 says that all things work together for the good of those who love God, not the good of those who like what's happening, not all the good things, not all the things that you like. It says all things work together for the good of those who love God. So what is God protecting me from or preparing me for that I can't see right now? We spend so much time worrying about outcomes, but God is deeply invested in the process. Psalms 37:23 says, He delights in our steps, not just the ones that land us where we want to be, but even the ones that, feel like we're wondering. God delights in your journey. That means He's with you when you get the promotion and when you get the rejection. He sees you when you're celebrating and when you're grieving quietly in the car. This journey, it matters to Him. So, what would you change if you believe that God is not disappointed in your detour, but is using it? So I want to remind you, remember, you're not behind, you're becoming. You're not late, you're in process. And the one writing your story, he delights in the in between. So what to do while you wait? Let's get practical because I don't want to just encourage your spirit. I want to equip you too. So when you're in that space between the not yet and the no longer, here are some things that have helped me hold it together without completely falling apart. But before we get into that list, I want to pause and talk about peace. We often confuse peace with ease. We think if it's something God ordained, it will feel smooth, settled all the time. But that's not always how it works. Godly peace isn't about the absence of pressure. I'll say that again. Godly peace isn't about the absence of pressure, it's about the presence of His guidance. Peace from God can meet you in the middle of chaos. It's the calm assurance that even when things don't make sense, you are being carried. It's that Jesus in the back of the boat. When the disciples came and said, Hey, you don't hear all that upside? And Jesus was just back there resting because he knew that God had them. Isaiah 26:3 says, You will keep in perfect peace those whose mind are steadfast because they trust in you. That kind of peace comes from a steady mind, one that's fixed on Him, not the situation. So even if you don't feel peace around you, you can carry peace within you. So here's what helped me. One was trusting the nature of God. God doesn't just want to guide your life, He wants to partner with you in it, not just in the big moments, but in the daily decisions, the highs, the lows, the things you celebrate, and the things you cry through. Your steps are ordered, yes, but they are also shared. He walks with you, not ahead of you, and He cares about every detail you bring before Him. Praying with honesty. I'm not talking about those cute, polished, perfect prayers. I'm talking about the Lord, I don't get it prayers. The I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, but I still want to trust you prayers. And taking your feelings to God and allowing Him to work through them with you. Staying rooted in the Word. When everything around you is uncertain, anchor yourself in something unchanging. Psalms 119:105 says, Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So when everything around you is dark, using the word of God to be a lamp to your feet to guide you through that darkness. Seek wise counsel. Get around people who love you, but also who love God enough to tell you the truth. And those are not the yes men. Those are not the people that are like, yeah, girl, crash out. I'm talking about the ones that don't just tell you what you want to hear, but also tell you, okay, let's be upset, let's be frustrated, but let's realign. And being faithful in the small. Sometimes our next assignment is hidden in our current one. So don't despise the small beginnings because God can be using that season to move you into the next. So, what small thing has God placed in your hands right now that you can nurture with excellence? Is there a way you can invite Him into your prayers more honestly? Are you being fed by His word or are you drifting from it? And who's in your circle? And are they giving you godly wisdom? And what assignment have you been treating as too small that God is asking you to steward with care? So let this be your reflection moment. It's not about getting it all perfect, it's about trusting Him in the little faithful steps. So let's talk about the internal stuff because the real fight isn't always the closed door. It's the thoughts that come after. The you're not good enough, that you'll never be seen, the this wasn't the right thing, the they were right about you. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So when I have those thoughts, what I do is I take them and I match them with scripture. So when I'm feeling forgotten, I lean into verses like Psalms 139, verses 1 through 4, verses 13 and 14. And that says, You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So God knows you fully and He sees you deeply and you are never forgotten. If you're feeling unqualified, you can lean into 2 Corinthians 3:5. And that says, Not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. You're not called to be enough on your own. I mean, I've tried it. I've tried to figure this thing out. I've tried to do it. And I know it's not me. I know that I have to lean and trust on God. It says that your qualification comes from Him. So knowing that means that you know you have to go to Him for that guidance. Feeling like you're behind. Ecclesiastes 3:1 is one of my favorites, and it says, "There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." Remembering that you're not late, you're in an appointed season, and you're on God's time, not the world's, and certainly not your own. And this is how we fight those spiritual battles. We counter those in that internal dialogue with biblical truth. And remember, trust is built in the tension. So, to the woman who is tired of being faithful with no recognition, this is for you. James 1:4 says, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Sometimes God isn't promoting you externally because He's strengthening you internally. And what has this season revealed about you, and what has it refined? So, it's important that we speak truth over ourselves. You are not forgotten, you are not behind, you are being positioned. And because of these truths, we can declare these things. I trust that God's no is not rejection, it's redirection. I choose peace even when I don't feel clarity. I believe something better is ahead of me. And remember, God is near to the brokenhearted. Hearted. And remember, God is near to the brokenhearted. He doesn't waste our pain on our detours. He is present in every disappointment and sovereign over every redirection. His plans are always greater than our preferences, and his timing is always intentional. God is not just the author of our outcome, he's faithful in the in between. He sees the whole story and he holds every detail in his hands. Because he is good, we can trust him. Because he is sovereign, we can rest. And because he is with us, we never walk alone. So if this episode spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. There's someone in your life who's navigating their own no, who feels overlooked, delayed, or discouraged. And they need to be reminded that God is still ordering their steps. So share this with them. Send it to them in a text, post it on your story. Let them know they're not behind, they're becoming. And if you haven't already, let's stay connected. Because why are you not following me on Instagram? Why are we not friends on Threads? But no, seriously, follow me on Instagram at Almost Together Pod for real-time encouragement, updates, and behind the scenes. I told y'all I was gonna do better on Threads, and go look at my Threads. Your girl been there, okay? Posting quotes, engaging, doing all the things. You can also visit almosttogetherpodcast.com to subscribe to the newsletter, read the blog, and join a growing community of women walking through life with faith, softness, and strength. Remember, this isn't just a podcast to me, it's a movement. It's a sacred space for the becoming, for the rebuilding, for the brave yeses and the holy no's. And more than anything, I want to encourage you to include God in your life. The highs, the lows, the plans, and the pivots. Your steps may be ordered, but He wants to partner with you. He wants to walk with you and not just lead you from a distance. Trust that He's in it with you, not just at the finish line, but every step of the way. And remember, let's build, let's heal, and let's laugh almost together. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Zane 90